want to talk about Harry Kane for a second because God, that was high, wasn't it? I want to talk about Harry Kane for a second because he scored a goal. This is all that we wanted. We wanted him to score a goal. But it's interesting because although he scores that goal, and of course, no one's saying anything bad about him at all, I thought that was the worst he's played in the entire tournament. It is amazing, Hugh, how all that really matters in this game and for him is that he scores a goal and we win the game, right?
He's got no competition. It's almost like there's no point talking about whether Harry Kane should be used in a different way. You know, the reality of the situation is Harry Kane is head and shoulders, whether he's playing at 50% of his talents than any of the other England strikers. And he will start every single match that he can stand on 2 feet for. And we've spoken about him in the past. I think he's going to come good. I think one of the things that was most interesting about England was how they scored their goals. They were in behind the opposition defence. I think that's massive. You want Harry Kane in the penalty box with his face to goal. Raheem Sterling got a great ball from Luke Shaw. Harry Kane scored off a great ball from Jack Grealish. You know, that is so important. The other thing is, I spoke to you about it before, the reason I love this formation is if you can get your wing-backs into the final third delivering balls, Harry Kane needs service. He didn't play well, no, but if you give him service, he's going to score goals, whether he plays well or not. No, he doesn't look like his absolute best. I've got to admit, he doesn't look at his absolute best right now. There's no way you're going to be leaving him out, though. And it only takes him to have that one great game. He could win this competition for England. You know, he's that good. He's that good a goal scorer. He's that good at linking up play. You just have to be patient with him. The performances will eventually come because, of course, class is permanent. And looking ahead to the weekend, Saturday against Ukraine, I think they stick with this because I think this formation helped them, you know, change up and be able to get those balls. Instead of playing it through the middle of the pitch, they were able to get that added width with the wing-backs and deliver balls into the box. Ukraine played with wing-backs. They changed against Sweden to play with wing-backs. And Alexander Zinchenko of Manchester City was hugely influential for Ukraine. He scored one. He set the winner up, you know, just before the game went to penalties. You know, if you nullify those wing-backs, and I believe Andrei Shevchenko, the Ukraine manager, will stick with that once again. Well, like England did to Germany, if they can nullify the opposition's wing-backs, they're going to win. So like I say, why would you change? Harry Kane playing well or not, this is the way that England have to approach it. Mark, look, whether Harry Kane plays well or not, I just don't see it your way.
No, I think the thing that with Kane, I was watching him closely yesterday, and I felt sorry for him in the sense that he had Hummels and he had Rudiger taking it in turns to kick him off the pitch, basically. Right in the very first 10 minutes, both Hummels and Rudiger hit him hard. And Harry Kane can handle that. That he gets that a lot in the Premier League, but I don't think people kind of accept sometimes. Maybe it's a television pitch, you don't see it as much, but he was getting a lot of physical attention yesterday, and he was getting no service. The service was really poor until Grealish crossed for that goal late in the game. But that goal could be a real breakthrough moment for Harry Kane. That could be the one that actually just gives him that confidence. I mean, listen, I'm going back a few years now, 1996, when Alan Shearer came at the tournament, hadn't scored for ages, question marks over Shearer's place in the team. He scored in the first game against Switzerland, and then he was off. Ended the competition the top scorer. You're right, you know, form is temporary, class is permanent, and Harry Kane is England's best centre-forward by a mile. He's so good that Dominic Calvert-Lewin wasn't even named as a sub yesterday, so Gareth Southgate didn't have any doubts about Harry Kane. And I think now he's got his goal, I think he will have that confidence, but he does need to be helped by his teammates. He needs to be given better service, certainly from the flanks, crossing into. He's the best header of the ball on the team, and I don't think he's had any chance with his head apart from the one he scored yesterday. So let's play to Kane's strength a little bit, but bear in mind, he does need help at times because he's getting two centre-halves most games, giving him an absolute clattering.
Yeah, I think we've seen in this tournament, and this brings us on to Ukraine in a big sense with this preview, because they will defend deep. You've spoken there, Hugh, about that, the wing-backs. They will play 5-3-2 against us. And so I think, again, we have to kind of change our approach a little bit, because you've seen with the games against, you know, Hungary, you know, causing upsets, Switzerland, not to a lesser extent, but it's almost the games that you are expected to win and break down that team really easily. It feels like those are the really, really tough games to win. So I think there does need to be an attitude change with this team. And in terms of, you said, Hugh, nullify the opposition. I'm not sure if that's the right attitude for a game like this, where we are clearly the favourites. We need to go and win the game instead of, you know, react correctly when they come and because there won't be that same space in behind. So, and also I think you've got to think about the, the bookings, Phillips, Rice, Maguire, Foden, all on yellows at the moment. So with that depth of squad, surely there's going to be some changes, don't you think, Hugh?
Look, it wouldn't surprise me if there are changes to the starting 11. I wouldn't. It wouldn't surprise me at all if Jack Grealish was given a start for this game. But the thing is, when it's working so well with your starting 11, Bukayo Saka didn't have the greatest game. And a lot of people, we had the conversation, should he start? Should Phil Foden come in? Now I think that conversation will move on to whether Jack Grealish should be the name included in the starting 11. Whoever plays, England have better attacking players. And if they function well, England will win. And if they play with a 3-4-3 or if it's a 3-4-1-2, I think they might just slightly tweak the forward areas and maybe push someone alongside Harry Kane. As Mark says, he was getting that extra attention. Maybe give, Raheem Sterling a little bit of a further forward role and see if he can maybe try and make a great dart in behind and open them up once again. But I think the reality of the situation is England will win. If they keep a clean sheet, England will win because I believe that they'll absolutely score. I don't think there's any way that this Ukraine defense is going to keep them out for 90 minutes if they can play to their best. And I think they are growing. They're getting towards that. I don't know about you two. I mean, we can't honestly sit here and believe, as much as we talk about the technicalities of it, that if England play a 4-2-3-1 or if England play a 3-4-3, that they won't be winning this game. They are overwhelming favourites. The talent is there. The confidence is now there after the game against Germany. I've told you already, football's coming home, which means this one is a foregone conclusion. Mark, wouldn't you say so?
On form, on paper, yeah, I think you're right. But we kind of get into that dangerous territory that English football fans get into. That the game's done now. It's in the bag, and Ukraine have got to the last 8 for a reason. They can beat teams, and I think the danger now is that there's overconfidence and there's a complacency sets in. I think as well that the atmosphere in Rome will be a test on Saturday because it's going to be very unlikely there's going to be England fans there because of the situation right now with COVID and isolation in Italy. I think it's a 5-day isolation, so there's going to be very, very few England fans there. I'd imagine the home support, the Italians will probably support Ukraine just to get one of the big teams out because Italy want to win this. So it'll be a strange atmosphere for England, and that might help the Ukrainians because the atmosphere certainly helped England at Wembley against the Germans. Absolutely got them over the line. It's going to be totally different in Rome. That's something they have to deal with. Look, all these players are used to it. They spent a season and a half now playing in front of empty stadiums, so it's nothing unusual. But I do think that having gone from the high of Wembley and the elation, the noise, to a strange, eerie environment in Rome, it's another thing to factor in.
That said, I'm with you on this one. Come on, Mark. We know. I know I'm setting ourselves up for a fall, but you're right, Hugh. And look, that's the beauty. This tournament, nothing is guaranteed. Nothing is guaranteed. That said, we spoke about this just before we started recording. That is, football is about expectations, and so that England game is such a high. But the expectations are that we should very comfortably beat this Ukraine team.
Can I just you say one word just to rein you back in? Iceland.
You're living in the past. You live in the past. Join me in the present, Mark. Join me in the present. I hear you. And look, you can say Switzerland as well. Switzerland beating France. No one called that one either. So yeah, I get what you're saying. But today, the day after we've beaten Germany, we're just fine. I see us winning this game. I see us winning it comfortably. I see us winning it with a clean sheet. I see us winning 2-0 once again. Hugh, what do you think? What's your prediction?
3-0, absolutely. I think England are going to win it, and I think, the reality is, I think those wing backs, we're going to see them in an even more advanced role than we did against Germany, really applying pressure. Maybe Reece James instead of Kieran Trippier will come in and give us an extra boost going forward, but I think Luke Shaw will probably keep his place. I wouldn't be averse to seeing Ben Chilwell. I think those will be key areas. If we can keep Zinchenko pinned back, we're going to take a lot away from the game, of course, of Ukraine. And then Yarmolenko is the other big threat. And again, with the 3 at the back playing so well, it's Yarmolenko cutting in on his left foot against Harry Maguire, who was brilliant. I've got to say, he was excellent against Germany. Then there is reasons to be cheerful and very confident for England. And like I say, I think it will be a 3-0 win. Mark?
Yeah, yes, and having urged caution and a bit of skepticism, I'm saying 3-0 England as well.
Come on.
I just think that you're right. The momentum is with England. They're a very good team. They're a much better team than 2016 when they slipped up against Iceland. You have to remember that is an example of what can happen. We've seen it with France and Switzerland. Nobody thought France would lose. But I think this England squad know that they're on the brink of a massive opportunity to forget all this ending 30, 40, 50 years of hurt. They're not bothered about that. They just want to win the trophy. They want to win the European Championships and then use that as a stepping stone to win the World Cup. And I remember, You know, Greg Dyke, the old FA chairman, was ridiculed maybe 10 years ago for saying there's a clock at St George's Park and it's got 2022 and that's when this team, this England DNA system is going to win the World Cup, and everyone laughed at him. Now, I don't say England are going to win the World Cup, but I think they are becoming a team that's capable of winning things. And if they don't win the Euros, I do think this team is about 18 months, 2 years away from maturing to being a proper team. People like Foden are going to get better. Alexander-Arnold, when he's back in the squad, is going to get better. Mason Greenwood. I think England are bubbling up to be a team that can win the World Cup. If they win the European Championships, there's nothing stopping them because of the confidence that having broken that, well, hoodoo maybe, finally getting that, if they do, it'll make a massive difference. It's like Liverpool win the Premier League, Man United win the Premier League back in the 90s. When you win something big, it sets you up for other things. And I think that's what they're on the brink of doing that now. They just have to get over this very awkward Ukraine team.
Thanks so much for watching ESPN on YouTube. And for more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for premium content and live streaming, subscribe to ESPN Plus.